know that you have a deep appreciation for your Hispanic heritage, and one of the things that I'm sure has rooted that in you is your dad, and he's played a big part of that. He's the En Espanol pastor at Emmanuel Faith Church, which is where you and I work together. And on our walks, we would talk about how you see your Hispanic heritage and culture interact with the counseling field. So, according to a 2021 national survey on drug use and health, which I will link in the show notes in case anybody wants to read it, only 36% of Hispanic and Latino Americans received mental health services, and that's compared to 52% of non-Hispanic whites. And like I said, we've talked about kind of this difference between the amount of people that will go seek counseling and how they approach counseling and mental health just in general. So if you could give kind of maybe like your opinion on why there is a disparity in mental health treatment within the Hispanic community and maybe how you've seen that firsthand.
Yeah, I think based on what I've seen and based on what you hear in a Hispanic family, a lot of the times it's very much unconscious. This is not something consciously, and maybe it is in some households, but a lot of times it's unconscious, this idea that is, okay, you went through something really hard. Okay, let's push it aside a little bit. Let's put it on the shelf, because if we look at it, it actually reveals so much more that needs to be talked about. And a lot of times there's fear. I mean, even in my own personal life, when I lived in Mexico, I experienced a lot of violence. I mean, when I was younger, and the reason we moved was because I think TJ was one of the most violent and dangerous cities. Like, I don't remember if it was the world or Mexico, but it was just not good at all. And I have so many experiences of that. But as we transitioned over to the United States, I wasn't really I didn't talk it through with my family. And that's something because as you're an immigrant, you're thinking, okay, what's the next step? Not what just happened.
Right.
So if you step into this country, my parents came, they were like, all right, we're here now. I remember talking to my mom about this, and she even actually told me, like, as a kid, we moved to the United States and you asked, do bad things happen here? You know, that's what happens, right? Like, she answered, no, bad things don't happen here. And we moved on because life is busy. Life is hard. And when you're not intentional to stop and to really look inward, the need for counseling is never going to be seen. Because for so many years, for 24 years of my life, until maybe like a few weeks ago, I started to realize, oh, the things I went through are not normal. You know, little kids aren't supposed to be scared that their dad's going to get hurt. Little kids are not supposed to be scared of violence outside their home, of people robbing their house, like so many things. And when you start talking about it and being honest with yourself, that's when you see, oh, maybe actually going to a counselor would be nice to talk about these things. Because when you don't talk about it, it actually doesn't matter because you're not thinking about it. You're not verbalizing it, so it just feels easy to stuff it down.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of Hispanics do that. We each, moving to the United States, our parents have trauma, even we have trauma, or even just, people say trauma all the time and it's like this huge word. No, it's things that shouldn't have happened to us. Things that we didn't deserve to happen to us. We all deserved to have lives in which we have a dad, a mom that love each other, that love us, in a place we feel safe.
Yeah.
So that's what God intended.
Yeah.
So I think for a lot of Hispanic families, it's just a lot of things there. And it's easier to not look at them than to actually look at them.
I think what's important about younger people taking on roles of Christian counselors is like encouraging people within their age group, their culture, like you can talk about this. Like we don't have to continue doing these things of pushing our emotions down and not talking about our problems. Like we can trust other people with our problems because they are going to help us. They want to help us. Yeah,
definitely.
That's great.
And it's biblical.
Yeah.
It's so biblical. I think when we don't properly grieve something, it's going to stay there. And the Bible, time and time again, reminds us the importance of grieving.
Yeah.
Like even something my supervisor says is in the Israel tradition, when somebody passed away, they took time to mourn.
Yeah.
They literally would throw ashes on themselves. They actually were intentional with holding the weight of what just happened, but we're not used to doing that in this society. Sure. Something heavy happens, we hold it for 2 seconds and then put it away when we're supposed to hold it for longer than that.
I think some people have a fear even of as Christians to be like, no, I'm just going to give it to God because he's the one that can handle it. It's like, yes, he can, and we should be doing that. We should be praying and crying out to God, but there are people on earth who have been given this vocation for a reason, and I think it's just such an important task that you've been given, and that you've been blessed with in order to help people overcome those fears. Now, what advice would you give to someone who might be hesitant to ask for help and just seek out medication or counseling services or talking to a friend, even that little step? What was something that you would say to them?
I would say definitely starting off with baby steps. That is the biggest thing. I feel like I've even learned that in my life. We sometimes go for the huge steps, and those generally end in us falling. But when we take the baby steps, that makes all the difference. I mean, baby steps are what gets us to real progress.
Yeah.
The big steps don't sometimes. And sometimes we can do those really big steps and we succeed, but most of the time we need the little ones to help us get there. And I would say just start with that. Like, what is your baby step? And for you, that maybe, or for somebody that's like, okay, going to counseling just seems like unbiblical to me. All right, the Bible says that the Lord is our counselor. He's the wonderful counselor. Start with that. Ask the Lord to counsel you, to provide you with insight as you pray to him. That's your baby step. You don't have to go to a counseling session and pour out your whole life and think all these things. It's not that. It's the little things, and really spending those times with the Lord and being like, God, okay, you said that in your word. I will believe it. And you will allow me to process this. You allow for me to gain new memories of things and really just give it to you. So I would say the baby steps. And even if you're scared, definitely talking to somebody, seeking even mentorship before counseling. It's all discipleship at the end of the day. But the thing is, we've strayed away so far from God's perfect plan that I love my profession, but because of this world and its brokenness, there's a need for it.
Yeah.
If we were as a church doing exactly what we were called to do and to be there for each other as much as we're called to, and making disciples as much as we're called to, I guarantee you my profession wouldn't really be real. But the thing is, the Lord has allowed for it to be real. It's here for a reason, and we just have to be good stewards of it. And people who are stepping into that and are scared, definitely the baby steps are what gets us there.